What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is NCIS Season 17, Episode 16, Ephemera. So this one was perfectly fine. Honestly, I think the two main things around it, one, the story in it was pretty good for the most part, and also I think the jokes landed a lot more. I would be surprised though, and honestly, I don't remember if this has been done before on NCIS, but I would like to know if anybody watching this wants to answer my question. Has this type of episode happened before where, it's kind of a common trope in a lot of shows, which is why I'd be surprised if NCIS hasn't done it in 17 seasons. But the concept of the main characters playing these other characters in the episode, like set back in the past, and they're playing their younger version of themselves, I feel like that has to have been done before, right? Like, there's no way that 17 seasons they're for the first time doing this trope, because it's pretty common in a lot of like, especially you look at episodic shows, it's very common. So I would like to know if that's been done before, and I'm just forgetting the episode because I probably am. But yeah, I thought the jokes landed pretty well, and again, the story, it was well done for the most part. But yeah, some of the key jokes I think that stood out for me. First of all, the whole Jimmy having DiNozzo Senior's letters, giving them to everybody, and just the hugging bit was funny. I liked Gibbs after he's like, "Oh, you're so warm. What did you say?" That was perfect. As well as whatever he's, well, everybody must be in a bad mood. Oh, well, my rent went up. Yeah, and, Johnny, he threw up on the carpet. I got hit by a car. Again? No, but just the hospital bills. I don't know, something about the way it was delivered made me laugh. And then later on in the episode, whenever the lady shows up talking about the coin, she's like, "I'm guessing none of you are," I think it was, numismatists. And Torres, as serious as he could be, "I was raised Catholic." Just perfect delivery again. So a lot of the jokes really landed a lot more in this episode than they have been, because I feel like they were better written in this episode, where most of the time, I guess not necessarily even better written, it was just more the delivery was better. It wasn't as awkward. And then the story itself I thought was pretty good. Maybe a little straightforward, but I think for NCIS, it's kind of a plot twist to not have a twist, bad guy at the end. Because whenever they focused in on the brother, they said, well, here's his motive. Seems like he might have had opportunity to do it. That's pretty much what it was. And most of the time with NCIS episodes, you see, well, here's who we think could have done it. He has the most evidence pointing at him. But it was actually this person the whole time. I was waiting for that moment. Honestly, the one thing that I do have a question about in that is, could the aunt not have been the only one to have done it with the stamps? Because I thought the aunt was the one that was doing she was basically being the middleman, and I assumed that meant that it was kind of a secret thing, that they were still sending letters back and forth while he was away at war. So I assumed she would be the only one that would know about it, hence she would be the only one with access to the stamps. But I guess not. I guess the brother somehow got access to the stamps, and he's the one. Because that's what made sense to me when I was thinking about, okay, this is NCIS. He's not the villain because they're focusing on him way too much. Who's actually going to be the villain? So it's kind of surprised when they just pulled the rug out from under and like, nope, no twist at this one. It's just the brother. So, okay. But yeah, the story itself, again, very sweet. The only problem I have with it is, again, they're pushing this whole Bishop and Torres thing. And I'm just not a fan of it. Like, I'm not a fan of them together, and I'm also not a fan of how long this story is going on. Like, it feels like this entire season has basically been devoted to them being a thing. And I don't know. I don't know why. First of all, I don't know why they think this is a good idea, while they continue to tell us multiple reasons why it's not a good idea. And then on top of that, you're stretching it out so long. I really thought after the episode, whenever he got hit by the car, I thought, okay, they're clearly pushing this along. Maybe in the next couple episodes they'll get together. And I think it was like the very next episode. I didn't even talk about it, but all of a sudden he has another date, and it's a Valentine's Day date. It's just like, so he just moved on to another woman now. Like, are we not doing this now? Are we again prolonging this story? And so in this episode, it's another, oh, they wouldn't be so cute together, and I'm like, not really, but sure, whatever. If this is what you want to see, go ahead and continue to push this story while still not actually pushing this story forward. It's getting frustrating, honestly, because if it was just it was taking too long that would be one thing, because I think, there have been multiple shows that do the whole will they, won't they for way too long, and it gets very frustrating. Like, a lot of people do complain that Jim and Pam took way too long to get together, which to some extent I agree. Those first few seasons are a little rough at times. But at the same time, they were such a good couple that it makes that build up, the anticipation when it finally happens. It's a really nice moment. With this, it's taking too long to get there, and also I'm not a big fan of the idea of Bishop and Torres being together because I just don't see it. So it's very frustrating, and I'm not really somebody that wants to focus on relationships. If you watch any of my superhero show reviews, most of the time, whenever they do focus way too much on relationships, I get very frustrated by it anyway. But especially in a show like this, where again, it's the connections with the characters and with the team, that's what really propels this series forward and keeps it going for so long. You made me care about all these characters, and so I do care about who they get together with. I do care about, who they start a family with, who they end up marrying. I do care about all that stuff. I don't want Bishop and Torres together. Like, that's how I feel about it. I just don't see them as a couple. So, yeah, just very frustrated with that. A couple of other highlights. First of all, Gibbs being the dad, I guess the guy who plays Gibbs playing the dad in the flashback scenes. Honestly, kind of hilarious, because my first thought whenever he first showed up, I'm just like, wait, why wouldn't they have Mark Harmon be the dad too? Like, that would have been a perfect casting. And then after a couple more minutes, I guess, it took me a minute. I'm like, oh, that is, holy crap. He looks so much different without the white hair. I can't believe it took me so long to realize that was Mark Harmon, but yeah, that was kind of funny. But on top of that, just some of the moments with Jimmy in this episode as well, talking about losing his mom to cancer, I thought was pretty powerful. The acting for Jimmy is not typically great because he's supposed to just kind of be the goofy side character. So the fact that he really brought it down and had a really serious and emotional moment in this episode, I thought was really well done. And I had to give props to, I don't know how to say his last name, but Brian, I know is his first name. I thought he really handled that scene well, and it really evoked some good emotion out of it. Yeah, I think that's about it as far as this episode goes. It's just pretty straightforward. It was perfectly fine. Still have my issues, but most of them now are just focused on Bishop and Torres and this whole will they, won't they, and I'm just ready for it to be done. So we'll see what happens. On to the next episode. See you there. Now episode 17 in a nutshell. So it's okay, but in a nutshell, it was just too many moments of kind of stupid stuff that sort of overwrote the good stuff that was in it. So, perfect example, we start off at the beginning with something really dumb because a young couple driving hits a dead body that's on the road, and I don't know, just something about the way that some of these stories start. I haven't mentioned it much this season, but there have been a few episodes where when we started off, like before the body was found, all of a sudden we're getting like this other little side story that doesn't tie into anything. It's just, oh, look at these people that are about to happen upon the body. You have like the one family that everybody's complaining, the brother and sister are getting into arguments, the dad's like non-existent basically, and the mother's trying to keep it all under control, and then they find the body and we never see them again. One, there was a hunter who was going out there, and then this woman starts threatening him because he's been hunting on her land. She's like, you're not going to kill the deer here, and then they find the body and we never see them again. Here we have this young couple who apparently, this one girl's trying to get into Dartford and her mom is apparently on the board or something like that, and then this other girl that she doesn't like, she gets into Harvard. And how could she get into Harvard? And then she's looking at Instagram, and then she hits the body. And we do see them again, unfortunately, because of all the stories, this is probably one of the ones that I wanted to continue on with the least. But on top of that, this one just had something that really made me want to mention it, because I've talked about how bad the writing has been this season. We got probably one of the stupidest lines I think I might have ever seen in any crime show. Ever. Just ever. Because who, after hitting a dead body and then thinking, oh, it might be a deer, and they get out of the car and like, ready for some woke Insta or Insta woke or whatever. I'm just like, what? You're gonna live stream yourself that you just hit a deer? What? So they get out. Oh my gosh! See the dead body. I don't think that deer is a deer. I think I lost brain cells listening to that line. Who wrote this? Who? I want to know who wrote that line and where can I find them so I can smack them in the face once for every brain cell that I lost. I probably lost about 20. I'm going to smack them in the face 20 times. Because, God, that was dumb. Nobody would say that. Nobody would hit a dead body, not knowing they were dead to begin with. They actually thought they might have killed the person. And then that's their response. Not, oh my gosh, we gotta call 911. None of that. No freaking out. Just, I don't think that deer is a deer. That's so stupid. And I get that it's not supposed to be like the most realistic show. It's supposed to be based in realism, but obviously, like I've said before in other reviews, this is a show where they crack jokes on the job. They'll make little one-liners, sometimes in inappropriate situations. This is a situation of just nobody would even in a show like this, nobody should say something as stupid as that. Because that's dumb. Stupid line. Now that I got that off my chest, yeah, then they come back. And super annoying. This girl, it's not like I killed him or anything. Like, she's acting all defiant. Like, I can't believe they're asking me so many questions. You ran over a body. Doesn't matter if he was dead or not. You just hit a body. And you didn't even know that he was dead when you ran over him. There's a chance you could have just hit him. And honestly, that's probably what you should have assumed without looking too closely and seeing the gunshot wounds. Probably should have assumed you just killed this guy. And she's acting like, why are you asking me so many questions? You can't have my phone. Hang on, I'm choking on my spit. God. It's just, it gets me really heated. Seeing all this stupid stuff in this show. So anyways, after that migraine-inducing scene, the rest of the stuff had its ups and downs. There were some good parts, there were some bad parts. This whole story of this family who was murdered, double homicide, the kids growing up with this, it's difficult. It's a heartbreaking story, and how do they, cope with this? The son, basically, I guess, I don't really know. We don't really know much about him. We don't really know, did he cope with it? Did he find other ways to cope with it? We see what happened with the daughter, her whole building the dollhouses of murder scenes. Really interesting stuff there. And some stuff that was tackled and I thought handled pretty well. We do see this girl, how she's basically trying to cope with what she witnessed as a kid. So I like some of that. There were some good elements. The detective, he was annoying at first, then he got okay by the end of it, because we did see, it was more so, he wasn't like acting like a jerk just because, oh, well, I'm a detective and you guys didn't do your job and I'm just so much better than you. It was more so that feeling of, I see these two kids and I couldn't solve their parents' case. It was more so the frustration of that was kind of, I guess, redirecting the anger towards Gibbs and his team. So it was a decent story by the end of it. In the middle, the whole thing about, oh, well, we got this whole social media and we're going to be here for Claire. We're all going to be here and witness what she's going through and all that stuff. That was all dumb. And I get that it is probably somewhat realistic. Like, hell, we just saw a whole trial between two celebrities that everybody was just talking about, and all eyes were on the trial because people, they want to see stuff like that. They want to see, a train wreck. They want to see something that's like, oh my gosh, that's awful. I need to record this. It would happen. Doesn't make these people any less annoying. And on top of that, I do kind of feel like, okay, well, they're breaking the law. Just arrest them. It just kind of felt like Gibbs and his team were powerless. Like, we can't stop you, so we're just going to tell you, get off. No, okay, well, we'll just let you stand here. That no, you arrest them. If they're at an active crime scene, you get them out of there. It just seems odd that nobody even thought to do that. They were just like, oh, we'll just stand here then. It's weird. But then, of course, I kind of hoped we would find out maybe a bit more about the parents' murder. It felt like maybe that would be what we were building up to. Because it is kind of interesting. The parents were apparently executed, 2 shots to the chest and the headshot. I mean, that's kind of interesting. Is this an assassination attempt? Is this what exactly is going on? Who was the person that killed them? Because clearly it seemed like maybe they had a bit of firearms training, whoever killed them. So I thought maybe, yeah, there is something to do with what's going on with their parents. But ultimately, it has nothing to do with that. It has something to do with what her brother was looking into and yada, yada, yada. And so on that note, I kind of feel like this isn't going to come back. It might by the end of the season. I would like for it to, because, again, kind of an interesting theory of what if her parents' murder is still out there. But they seem to imply that by the end of it, the detective is exhuming this one body that he assumed was the guy who did it, but he couldn't get access to the body, and so they're going to just look at it. And we never find out whether or not the DNA matches, but I'm kind of assuming that's what they're leading to, because that story seemed to take second fiddle by the end of this episode. Outside of that, the stuff with the whole donation thing, kind of dumb. Just I don't really know exactly what all that's supposed to be about. I know Bishop is going to be training with Odette, so I guess she just thinks that since she's starting a new life with Odette, and she's going to start training to be this sort of master spy, and she needs to, I guess, not have as much stuff because she's going to change who she is. I don't know. It just seems sort of out of left field. So, and most of the jokes didn't really work. Like with McGee seeing the box of stuff. There was one decent one in there though with Gibbs coming up, just like, oh yeah, that shirt's not worthless. Makes a good rag. Thanks, McGee. And just walks off with it. I thought that was pretty funny. But everything else was just sort of little side jokes that didn't really land for me. But yeah, that's about it for this one. So on to the final of these 3. I'll see you there. And now episode 18, Schooled. Okay, NCIS. I'll give you that. I'll give you that episode. It's pretty solid. It was decently written. The acting at the end got to me, made me emotional, made my eyes kind of watery. Bravo. So yeah, probably. Would I say it's my favorite episode of the season? Maybe, just because this season has not been fantastic. So it's not like there was nothing stupid in this episode. I'll admit, just the whole storyline of McGee going to this college reunion, it's kind of stupid. It's pointless because they go through all of this stuff, and I'm just like, is this really a thing? Like, I don't know. I just actually had my high school reunion, and it was, you just go, you find out how everybody's doing, you catch up. Yeah, it was nice because I went from the nerdy kid who basically kind of helped tutor everybody in school, got picked on by some kids, but then grew up, and now I've been in Hawkeye and Loki, and I've got a hot girlfriend. So it's like, yeah, it's cool to be there and be like, yeah, but it's not like it's like this big deal. It's like, oh my gosh, do I go? I just don't know. Like, did I make enough of myself? Like, nobody really cares. So I don't know. It was just kind of weird storyline that it didn't go anywhere because then McGee gets the date wrong and doesn't go anyway. So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of dumb. The story itself was fine. I was kind of curious. Like, they did grab my interest finding out this guy, oh crap, he's a hacker and a con man and all this. It was interesting, and it definitely got me asking questions. I wanted to know more, especially whenever they go back to the school and all this stuff is basically taken away. I mean, it was a fun little plot twist of like, that school wasn't real either. So I liked all that. The villain, I mean, it was kind of one of those out of nowhere, like, oh, that one guy that got a few lines earlier, he's important. Kind of like the one woman from the episode with the Russian guy, his secret girlfriend. It's kind of one of those where you give this person a few lines in the middle of the episode and he just suddenly is just there. The other, what was the other one? It was the old guy whenever they were doing the video game stuff. Like, this old guy that's doing the puzzles, and it's just, he's kind of a pointless role until the end. You find out, oh crap, he was the bad guy all along. I don't know. I'm not a fan of those kind of twists because then there's not really any build-up. You don't really get to know this person. So as the audience, you're just kind of sitting there watching the team figure all this stuff out behind the scenes, and we don't even really get to see most of that. We just see them all of a sudden now they're going to see this guy. And it's just like, oh, it was him all along. well, cool. I would have liked to have been in on that information and not just like sitting here watching everything happen, watching you guys do everything while I'm just sort of a spectator. Like I'm not a fan of that in crime shows or in mystery shows. I'm not a fan of that feeling of I'm just kind of on the outside. I'm not clued into anything going on. I'm just spectating everything. Just watching the pieces move, and then it's kind of one of those, oh, surprise, it was this guy who we didn't know anything about. It's just not fun for me as an audience member. Now, other people might enjoy that, might enjoy the little, oh, it was that one little guy who didn't seem that important, but now he is. Some people might enjoy those kind of twists. I personally do not. I hate those kind of twists. I feel like they're lazy and they're just kind of... It's almost like the writers want you to think they're clever, so they throw in these little, oh, this person just has a few lines. They don't seem that important, but are they? It feels like one of those, and I don't really enjoy those type of mysteries personally. But anyways, the stuff with Sloane, though, definitely the best part of the episode, and probably one of the best scenes in the season, just all of her scenes. Yes, there was a little bit of an odd start with her, like, just basically breaking into Vance's office, and then, you know, when she just ignores Gibbs. Like, it makes sense. She's really reeling from this fact that her daughter wants to meet her biological father who raped her. Like, that is something that's very emotional. It's traumatic. It's something she's got to deal with, and she's trying to figure out how she wants to deal with it. So I get, you know, going back to those scenes now. At the time, I was frustrated. I'm just like, Sloane, you're acting like an idiot. But now I'm like, okay, no, I get it. I get it. She's not quite on top of her game. She's not fully there and focused. So it totally makes sense. And yeah, just basically after she has her talk with Gibbs, everything after that was just phenomenal in her scenes. Her going to see her attacker and essentially telling him, here's what you're going to tell her. And that's it. You're never going to see her again. And him just basically trying to, you know, at first, a little bit of gaslighting, trying to calm her down. You know, no, you were just drunk. You wanted it. You don't remember the night. She's like, no, I remember everything perfectly fine. And then, you know, him essentially coming back at her like, I could see her if I want to, and just punches the crap out of her. It was amazing. I loved it. And then the scene at the end with Faith realizing, because apparently she has worked with people like that before in the trauma center. I thought that was a really... I figured that's probably what was going to happen, but I don't know, something about the reveal whenever she's just like, I got the sense there was something more, and I saw the look on your face and I knew, and I'm just like, that's a good explanation as to why she figured it out without the dad telling her. So I love that scene though, and again, just the emotion of the scene was very real, and I mean, obviously, I don't know anything about that because myself and, as far as I know, none of my close friends have dealt with that. If they have, they haven't told me about it. But it's still something that's just, when you think about that happening, it does kind of make you feel disgusted. You know, that somebody would actually do something like that. And so, seeing the victims of that, it is heartbreaking. And so that scene was just really, really well done, well acted. And it drew emotion out of me. So that's something that I can't really say about the rest of this season. So all in all, good episode, and thank goodness we got a good one because it's been a hot minute. So yeah, if the final 2 episodes of the season, if they're at least this level, I'll be okay, because then there was at least a moment for me to grasp onto of like, that was good. And there was not really anything else stupid in this episode to really take my mind off of that. So, but anyways, that's it for these 3 episodes. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 3? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future NCIS reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.